ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM. I'm Zach Clark. This is the Zach Clark Show. Gladly taking those phone calls at 298-1490, 298-1490. That is the All Pro Plumbing studio line. Check them out, allprorooterandplumbing.com. You can check us out on Facebook and on YouTube. Go to both of their websites, search ESPN Tucson. Make sure you subscribe. That way you won't miss anything. And, of course, we're out there on your radio dial as well. We'll talk to Adam Green here at 422. We'll get his take on the Arizona Cardinals haul in last weekend's NFL draft. And can I just say very quickly before we get any further, as much as it pains me to say this, Philadelphia did an amazing job. The energy, the enthusiasm, nobody threw a battery at anybody, at least not that I saw. So, thumbs up. I think the energy was fantastic. And it makes me think two things. One, they should leave it in Philly because that was awesome. But then I think, no, they should keep moving it around because I think they can keep trapping said lightning in that bottle in different cities. I mean, think about some of the more underserved NFL cities that really have more passionate fan bases. I think that you would do really well. I think you should have the opportunity to. So I hope they keep rotating. I hope that they keep doing it the way they've been doing it. And, if it makes its way back to New York eventually for a little bit, that'd be okay, too. We'll talk Arizona Wildcats basketball and the NBA Combine. I also have to talk Arizona baseball. Yeah. The Cats have lost 6 straight conference games. They've been swept on back-to-back weekends. And you'd think that some of the things that had happened along the way would propel them forward a little bit, and they just can't seem to gain any momentum. So we will talk about that. But let's get into the NBA playoffs. And if you watched Game 7 yesterday in Los Angeles, a difficult ending for the Los Angeles Clippers, but one that's not all that unusual. The Clippers have made the playoffs 6, am I counting correctly? Yes, 6 times in a row. 6 times in a row. Never higher than a, 5th seed? In their, 4?
Yeah, they're 4 this year.
Oh, hey, Talkie McTalkerson. Are they 4 this year? I thought they were.
Yeah, they're 4
Oh, that's right, because they had the home game 7. So, excuse me, never higher than a 4. Wait, no, never higher than a 3rd. Who is in charge of my stats? Stacy, show yourself out. Whoa. They have finished themselves in the top 3 a couple of times. So my point here is I meander through my stat page all over the place. They've made the playoffs 6 times, and they have never gotten to the Western Conference Finals. Not under Doc Rivers.
Yeah. And there's a lot of talent on that team.
Yes. They lost in 7 to the Jazz this year in the first round. They lost in 6 to the Trailblazers in the first round. Last they lost in 7 to the Rockets in the semis, the Thunder in 6 the year before that in the semis, opening round to the Grizzlies in 2013, swept in the conference semis by the Spurs in 12. And before that, they had been awful. Made the playoffs in 2006, and there was a gap until 2012. So here's the thing. Doc Rivers I equate to almost Mike Stoops, right? Like, you're terrible, everything is awful, and you say, we need a guy. We need a guy. And the Clippers say, Doc Rivers. And, Arizona says, ooh, Stoops, right? And the guy comes in, and things turn around, and you go, hey, I like this guy. Look at all these different things that are happening. Look at these things that we were used to struggling. Now we're doing better. I mean, for God's sake, Stacey, and this wasn't mostly what the Clippers did. It was the Lakers didn't do. The Clippers have almost taken over the Lakers in Los Angeles. They haven't, and they never will because of the history. But as far as, where I want to play right now, I don't want to go to the Lakers. They're a mess.
Well,
they're a mess.
I also think the commissioner had a little something to do with that.
When he blocked the Chris Paul trade.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure. But it's a situation, okay.
Good old David Stern. All right.
Are they ever going to go anywhere with Doc Rivers as their coach?
And the same question,
with this roster.
And the same question was asked of Mike Stoops, ultimately.
Yeah.
Now, I know that the things are a little wonky early on in that season where he was let go, but you've plateaued. You've hit the wall. There's nowhere else to go.
You've shown us what you're capable of doing.
And this is it.
And that's it.
You're capable of the Western Conference semis. That's it. Now, is it all Doc Rivers' fault? No.
Well, he's a GM. He's the...
Well, yes. And that's the thing. With Doc Rivers, do you say, I like him as a coach, but I want to get rid of him as a GM? I don't think you can do that. I go back to when I was a kid. Man, Stacy, one year for Christmas, I got a TV VCR combo. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was all in one machine, right? But then, Stacy, one year, the VCR broke. And guess what?
You only got the TV.
Now the whole thing is broken. You can't replace the VCR because it's attached to the TV. So I think in the same situation here, Doc Rivers is my TV VCR combo, which was awesome. But once one of it stopped working, I got rid of it. And I got a flat screen because, it's not 2007 anymore, whenever it was when Boston won that NBA championship. So I'm starting with Doc Rivers. Poor decision making as a GM and as a coach, for that matter. But I'm also not stopping with him either. Where you go, what does Blake Griffin bring you? Can you get something for some of these guys? DeAndre Jordan. Maybe he should have gone to Dallas. Maybe you should have let him go to Dallas. I mean, it's hard for me to say anything bad about Chris Paul. He's the one that if I was going to keep somebody, it probably would be him. But, I mean, we're all talking about older guys now, too. Somewhat.
And I think with Chris Paul, he at least showed up in these playoffs.
Yeah.
He at least performed better than his average.
Yeah. He's the only one that can say that.
Yes.
With anybody else would be like flat out bald-faced liars. I mean, it would be like just an absurd lie for anybody else other than Chris Paul to be able to make that claim. So, yeah, I totally agree. You think they're going to do it? I think they have to. I do.
Listen, you're not getting any younger, like we mentioned there. You're still having to deal with Golden State, who's going to be a powerhouse for the foreseeable future.
And let's not forget about the Spurs.
And
Houston.
That's where I was going next with the Spurs. Houston doesn't worry me so much, with D'Antoni as their coach.
Yeah, but
I think it's a similar situation.
Yeah, but I'd take right now, if we're taking these two teams, give me Houston and
in a heartbeat.
Well,
yes.
That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about the teams that are in front of you in the line.
So there's obviously some steps you have to take if you want to get there.
Yeah, they're not.
But you're not capable
options.
of doing it. You only have a 2-story house. You don't have a 5-story mansion that you live in.
Right. But here's the thing, Stacey. Let's say that you do only have that 2-story house. But what if you're sitting on some things that would score at Antiques Roadshow? But you just got to get out and get rid of them. And I think they may have that in some of their guys. Not they're going to be worth millions.
And that's where, going back to Doc, I don't see him doing that. I don't see him making those trades.
Well, then I'd fire him. Then I'd fire him first right now.
I would too. But that's on ownership to do that.
But that's my question: is Steve Ballmer going to pull the trigger and get rid of Doc Rivers? I think he will.
I don't think he will.
Man, if you're gonna overpay by double or 2.5 times what the team is worth, you're just gonna let it run down? He overpaid. He set a new standard for NBA ownership. He did. Now the dudes that sold the Bucks are going, dude, are you kidding me? Come on! They sold the Bucks for and I know we're talking about LA and Milwaukee, but
$500 million.
I don't even think it was that. I think it was under 500. I think it was like 460 or something like that. But if the Clippers sell first for $2 billion, I guarantee you Milwaukee sells for at least $700 million. Hands down, no.
I was thinking more of $1 billion.
It could, but I'm saying they probably sold for about 50% of what they'd have gotten less than a year later, which it's got to sting a little bit. But then at the same time, you're thinking, that sucks. But at the other time, here's this big pile of $400 million. I'm just going to go ahead and put this in my bag. Let's take a couple of phone calls. 298-1490, All Pro Plumbing Studio Line. Hey, Rick, how are you, sir?
Guys, good. How are you today?
Well, thank you.
Look, for the Clippers to show up, if you want to say that, I don't know if they showed up, to play a 7th game in their own gym and really not even be in the game, you got to do something as a team. The problem they have is that because of the salary cap and the way it's structured, they can't really trade anyone because they won't have any room to go out and get any players. So it seems like the only move you can really make at this point is, I think they probably would trade Blake Griffin if they could, is do something in the front office. I like Doc Rivers a lot. He's a great coach. He's been marginal as a GM, but they can't stand pat with what they've done. One other quick comment.
Sure.
Phoenix Suns probably should never trade a guard to Boston again, ever, because their history now, they traded DJ to Boston and Isaiah Thomas and literally got nothing for either one of them. And those guys have turned out, we know what DJ did, that's old school. Isaiah Thomas, you can't say enough about what he's done so far.
Well, yeah, Rick, thanks for the phone call. You look at the Suns and the Celtics. I mean, you can say what you want going back to DJ back into the 35 years ago. But most recently with Isaiah Thomas, they'll never live that one down. I mean, he's having an incredible season. I mean, good Lord. We know how much Bostonians love hockey. They got to love Isaiah Thomas now. His tooth goes flying across the gym. Man, you see that in slow motion? Ooh. Ouch. 298-1490. Antonio, what's happening?
Hey guys, I just want to say that a moment ago, Stacy made a very valid point about Paul Pierce, saying that he was a little bit overrated. And hold on a sec. The reason why he's overrated is that's what happens to players who linger around for too long. It dilutes the great things they did at some point.
Yeah, like Tracy McGrady coming off the bench in San Antonio, like that.
Well, something like that.
Or here's my favorite one, Antonio. Can we get a check on Stephon Marbury in China? No, wait. Now he's on Broadway in the Stephon Marbury story about Stephon Marbury, right? Antonio, thanks for the phone call. It's an interesting point, Stacy, that Antonio says that the longer you play, the worse it makes things because people say, well, I remember what you used to be like, and now you're only a shadow or a shell. I get that. Again, I made the comment about Ricky Henderson, who was playing baseball into his 50s and independently. I'm like, dude, you're the greatest base stealer of all time. Please stop that. Like, it's hard to watch you do that. Like, it really is. It'd be like watching Monet paint with his fingers in a kindergarten center and say, Mommy, look what I did. It's like, Claude, please stop doing that. That's not how this works. So I get that point, but it doesn't feel like Paul Pierce played so far past his usefulness. I say the same thing about Kevin Garnett.
Well, and the thing with Pierce this year, he didn't play a whole lot this year. He was not even a role player. He was just on the bench basically for the majority of the season.
But don't you think that serves a purpose, especially in such a messy locker room?
It does, but it goes back to the point where I don't think he's a great player. I don't think he's a really good player.
Man, you just don't like there's something about the word great with you. See, I have another word above great, so I have no problem going
see,
to
that's
it.
where my plateau, I guess, is great.
No, see, I have that like I've gone plaid, like Spaceballs. Like I've got that one more gear, beyond light speed.
I haven't reached plaid yet.
Yeah, no, I've got that.
I'm stuck on corduroy.
Oh, good Lord. Got some chords? What are you, Weezer? It's 1997. Like, what's happening here?
So I just think, Paul Pierce on this team, he's not going to be able to take it to the next level. He's not going to.
Oh no!
Tell these, even tell these guys, here's what you need to do. Because he couldn't do it himself.
The Clippers' downfall is not on Paul Pierce.
No, I'm not saying it is.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like, well, of course the Clippers are bad. I got this guy hanging around.
But you bring in a guy like Paul Pierce as a veteran presence to be able to do that.
Well, but when they brought him in, he was a little bit more able to contribute. I said a little bit. I didn't say. I used a qualifier.
Yeah, and they brought him in from a Nets team that was horrible.
Oh, wasn't Kevin Garnett on that team too? Oh, well, the funny thing is the Nets are still horrible. My God, the horriblest. Stacy, Cleveland and Toronto got a little weird last year. You think it will again this year? I kind of do. Cleveland's having a weird season.
I mean, and so is Toronto. They've had a weird season.
It's been a weird Eastern Conference all year long.
I like the addition of Serge Ibaka to Toronto. I think that will play very well in this series.
Serge Ibaka.
So I still see Cleveland winning.
Yeah. But here's my problem with Cleveland right now, Stacey, is I'll put them through the next round. But as they continue to not impress, I'm wondering if it makes that as each round becomes kind of meh, does it make it harder for them to be better in the following round? Like, because you're only so many games left before you have to play either Boston or San Antonio or Golden State. I mean, are you going to be awake when that happens? Are you going to be able to push through?
What I really don't know is, are they just being lackadaisical and just going through the motions here with this?
Even so, I don't think that's
good. Or
good.
Are they just struggling that bad?
But I mean,
yes, I know they swept that series with Indiana.
Yeah, but I mean, Indiana's bad. Indiana's bad, and Chicago is bad too. But Chicago found some extra reserve, and they're like, "Hey!" It's like when you find money in the couch, like, "Oh, cool. Who wants to go for dinner? I found $50 in the couch." Bam. right? And the Pacers they did not find the $50 in the couch. But here's the thing, Stacey, you say, are they just playing down or something really wrong? Let's look at it like running. If I am slow and I don't stretch, am I going to hurt myself? Probably. If I am fast and I don't stretch, am I going to hurt myself? Yeah. So you got to be ready now, whether you're the better team or not, because eventually you're going to be called upon to find a gear or a muscle, or you're going to have to do something you haven't done in a long time. And are you going to be able to do it? I mean, we live in a world where everything is on demand. Can they turn that switch on demand when it's Boston, it's Golden State, it's San Antonio, or even when it's Toronto? And so far the answer is no. I guess you could say it was yes for the Pacers, but as Shania Twain once said, that don't impress me much. Talking to Adam Green next. We'll get another Cardinals draft. ESPN Tucson 1490 and 1049 FM. The 11th annual Stella Artois Iron Chef Tucson returns to the Westin La Paloma June 3rd. 2 new competitors will vie for the Iron Chef Tucson crown. You can vote for your favorites now or after you meet the chefs this Wednesday, May 3rd at the Rialto. That event is sponsored by Rio Nuevo. Details can be found at our website, espntucson.com. We're going to talk Arizona Wildcats basketball here in a few minutes. The NBA Combine invite list is out. A few recognizable names pop up. Also, at the end of the hour, we'll talk Arizona baseball. Cats on a bit of a Pac-12 slide. They've lost 6 in a row. We'll see if we can't get to the bottom of that. But let's turn our attention now to the NFL draft and the Arizona Cardinals. Joining us now on the All-Pro Plumbing studio line is Cardinals beat writer Adam Green. Adam, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Zach. How are you?
I am doing well. Always great to have you on the program. And Adam, things got screwy in the first round before the Cardinals selected in the 13th slot. Do you have any idea of what they were planning to do? Did they get the guy they wanted, or did something happen before that and they chose Hassan Reddick as a result?
It depends on what you think they wanted to do. If you believe that they were interested in a quarterback, and I do believe that, then you had to wonder, okay, would Patrick Mahomes have been the guy at 13 if he was there? Trubisky, would he have been the guy? Deshaun Watson? All we know is that the Cardinals, they like some of these defensive players, too. They mentioned Hassan Reddick in their pre-draft press conference. Reuben Foster came up. I assume Lattimore was someone they would have liked as well. So when those quarterbacks were off the board, it was a pretty easy decision. That's what Steve Keim said, that once it got to that point, Hassan Reddick staring them in the face, they didn't think he would be there. They said he was one of their top 5 players on their board. Now, whether you believe that or not, I'm pretty sure every team has left the first round of the draft with a player they had ranked really high on their board, if you listen to them. So I believe that the draft, whether they expected it to go this way or not, whether they wanted it to go this way or not, I'm pretty confident they are pleased with the way it ended up getting Hassan Reddick in round number 1.
Well, what should Arizona fans know about Reddick?
He's a guy who has kind of come on strong, especially in the offseason. He played a lot of outside linebacker, pass rush type stuff for Temple, but the Cardinals see him as a middle linebacker, someone who could replace Carlos Dansby down the road. But they are very excited about not only his ability to get after the quarterback, but his ability to drop back into coverage, which Bruce Arians said he didn't really do much of in college, but when he went down to the Senior Bowl, he was covering running backs and everything like he'd been doing it for a while now. So they love his speed. And there was a sports science video, I don't know if you guys saw that came out after, and he just looked like a physical freak. So he's not a big linebacker, but he's big enough, and with that kind of speed and strength that he shows, there's a lot of potential there. But he's somewhat raw, but in terms of other Cardinals first-round draft picks, especially the last couple of years, it seems like there's a way for him to get on the field early in year 1.
What was the drive behind moving up to select Budda Baker in the second round, a guy that we've seen here in Pac-12 country quite a bit?
It was actually just getting Budda Baker. The Cardinals said they had him rated as a first-round type of guy, and you would have thought going into the draft that if they trade up in the second round, especially with some of the quarterbacks that were still on the board, that it would have been for one of them. And instead you go with Baker, who they see as another Tyrann Mathieu type of player. He's a little bit bigger than Tyrann Mathieu was going into the NFL. He's a little bit faster, too. And, of course, we did see him, or we saw him. I'm a Pac-12 guy, an Arizona guy. You guys watched him a lot, too, at UW. And he's just someone who they see lining up all over the field. And for the Cardinals, it kind of goes with Reddick, too, and some of their offensive lineman choices. They like positional flexibility, versatility out there. And in Baker, they see someone who can line up at nickel corner, can play kind of down in the box against the run, can cover tight ends down the field, and can play that deep safety too. So you get a player who's got that kind of speed, that kind of heart, that kind of strength and ability to get him in the second round. They did give up a lot to get him, but they believe it was worth it.
You mentioned positional flexibility, and certainly some on the offense too, but really on the defense, Reddick is there, Baker is there, guys like Dan Buchanan are already there. What do they like about the flexibility in some of these guys? Because it does make their defense pretty interesting.
Yeah, you start blurring the lines on defense, or it's kind of like on the NBA, the Golden State Warriors, so they don't really have positions, not point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. For the Cardinals, Dan Buchanan, they list him as a dollar linebacker. He was drafted as a safety. He basically plays linebacker for them. Tyrann Mathieu was a cornerback in college, and he plays more of a safety, but he's also in the box for the Cardinals. And they use what they call their sub-packages. I think the number was 79% of the time on defense. And that means it's not their base 3-4 defense. And they've used at times 4 safeties on the field. And they can do that at one time because their safeties can do so many things. You can have them cover. You can have them blitz. It doesn't really matter what the offense does. Those players can handle it. So if you're the Cardinals, not only do you have injury insurance if someone goes down, like if Tyrann Mathieu goes down and you have Budda Baker and he's good this season, then you kind of have some insurance there, and maybe even down the road with guys with contract situations. But for right now, you just have so many players out there where you can do so much as a defense, where an offense doesn't know who's coming and from where. So when you have that, just the options that James Bettcher will have defensively, the Cardinals, they're one of those teams right now where they are blurring the lines on defense, and it kind of seems like that's where the NFL is going, at least defensively, where it doesn't matter what position they play technically, but they're just football players, and the more you can do on the field, the better your defense will be.
Adam Green joining us on the All-Pro Plumbing studio line. And over the last few years, Adam, the Cardinals have done well in the middle rounds of the draft. What did you make of their haul in the middle? A wide receiver, a couple of offensive linemen, a defensive back, a running back. What did you see?
It seems like pretty good value, as well as maybe a possible steal in Dorian Johnson, the fourth-round pick out of Pitt, where most people had him rated in the second or third round. They get him in the fourth round because he has a liver issue, or that came out, and he said it's not an issue. It's something where he doesn't even know the name of his liver issue. He said it's just a really long word, but that he takes medication for it, and the result is he has 5 times the amount of enzymes in his liver. And I tried to Google this myself and reverse engineer it and everything. I couldn't figure out what it was, but he doesn't seem concerned with it. He didn't miss, I think he missed 1 game his entire college career, the first game of his freshman season. The Cardinals aren't worried about that, so he's the type of guy who a lot of people see as someone who can almost step in this season and be their starting guard for the next 10 years. Chad Williams, Arizona fans saw him earlier in the year. I think that was a game that Grambling probably would have won if their quarterback didn't get hurt, but they see a big receiver who is really fast his pro day. I think he ran like a 4.37 or something in that range. They are really excited about him, but he's a project guy. He's a potential guy because, of course, Grambling State, the level of competition, yeah, they cited what he did against Arizona, but I think we all kind of understand that last year's Arizona defense wasn't exactly a true test of what an offense could do against a certain player. But between him, the 2 linemen, Johnson and Will Holden, they like from Vanderbilt, they are very pleased with just the depth that they got there. They didn't need a wide receiver, but they have one who could develop into something. They maybe didn't need the offensive lineman right now, but they have a couple of players who they're confident with time could be useful players for them down the road.
Overall, Adam, how did the Cardinals do based on what they needed and what they ended up with by the time Saturday night rolled around?
It's funny because everybody talks about needs versus best player available, and best player available is also based on your needs. You know, The Cardinals weren't going to take Leonard Fournette if he was there even at 13. He might have been the best player on the board. They weren't going to go there. So it's when you look at, they landed a middle linebacker in Hassan Reddick. Well, they need a middle linebacker next season when Carlos Dansby's contract would be out. Buda Baker, a safety who can play all over the field. Tyrann Mathieu' contract, who just signed last year, but he's got injury issues, and you don't know if you can rely on him so much. Fancy that. They get a safety, more receivers with Larry Fitzgerald about to, nearing the end of his career. And then, of course, the linemen. They filled a lot of needs with this list, or potentially filled a lot of needs. Obviously, we don't know for a couple of years down the road, but every player they drafted, you could see a reason for why they drafted them based on their position and what they think these guys can do. But when you look at it, they also didn't get a quarterback. And that's the thing, that going into the draft, if there was one position where they didn't need it this year, but they're going to need a quarterback. And they talked about it a lot. And maybe they were maybe it was their own smokes for getting teams to trade up in front of them. Of course, all 3 quarterbacks who were taken ahead of them, teams traded up to get. But if you look at the Cardinals on the roster, it looks like they got better for the 2017 season with what they did over the last weekend. But if you are someone who believes that they need a quarterback, and right now that makes sense, they still don't have that guy for the post-Carson Palmer world. So it looks like a solid draft, filled needs, some players who project very well down the road, but there are certain things that they did not figure out or they did not get in. That's just the way the board goes sometimes, as they said.
Well, and Adam, quickly, no quarterback selected, as you just mentioned. What do they do now? What should we keep our eye on in the next 6-8 months maybe?
For the quarterback position, probably not much. There's a couple of the free agents out there if you feel like they want to move on. Zach Dyser's the third-string guy, and that's the thing with the quarterback position. You have Carson Palmer and you have Drew Stanton for this season, and, of course, if Palmer goes down, I don't think anyone thinks the Cardinals are going to do much of anything long-term or in the playoffs if they even get there. But both of those guys are free agents after. Well, Palmer's not a free agent, but it's very possible neither one of those players is back next season. So it's really not about this season for quarterback. It's going to be about next season, whereas this year they would like to have found a quarterback of the future. Next year they might have to find that guy. And there are certain free agents who are still out there right now. Blaine Gabbert is out there. Of course, Jay Cutler, Colin Kaepernick. Not exactly an inspiring list of quarterbacks. Then if you look towards next year, different players who might be free agents. I know Blake Bortles had the 5th-year option picked up today by Jacksonville, but as far as I read, it's only guaranteed for injury. So if they decide he's not the guy, then they could cut him, and that's someone who the Cardinals supposedly had interest in a couple of years ago when he was drafted by Jacksonville. So Right now, it seems like the Cardinals have kicked the can down the road a little bit more when it comes to the quarterback position, and it may not cost them now, but it's something they're going to have to figure out in the near future.
And a deeper quarterback draft assumed in next season's draft. Anyway, Adam Green covers the Arizona Cardinals and more for Arizona Sports 98.7 FM in Phoenix and at arizonasports.com, on Twitter at the Adam Green. Adam, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Always good talking football with Adam Green. We'll talk Arizona basketball and the NBA Combine coming up next on ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM. If you've been waiting for the right time to get yourself a brand new car, then the time is now. Join us on Thursday, May 11th at Royal Buick Cadillac GMC in the Tucson Auto Mall. We'll be doing our show live from 3 to 6 and helping you get into the car of your dreams. Stacey, just a heads up for all the listeners out there and for you as well. I'll be reading that copy with the brand new car the same way every time. Too much fun not to.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
I'm good. Just now be aware that you don't have to break yourself for any kind of disappointment because I'll be doing it exactly that way all the time.
Okay.
Just, little FYI for all of you out there.
Can I be Bob Barker?
Yeah, I guess that makes me George Gray.
Remember, friends, spay and neuter your pets.
Control the pet population. Yeah, I think Drew Carey says that still as well.
Does he?
I believe.
Good.
I believe.
Get rid of those animals.
I don't think that's why, per se, he says it.
That's why I say it. I'm tired of my allergies going crazy.
You don't have any animals. So,
No, but other people do, and they take them around with them.
what do you mean? Where? Like outside?
Like to work.
There's a dog here?
We get pets in here all the time.
Really?
Yeah, it's annoying.
Oh, I didn't know I'd bring my dog more often.
No.
Well, I mean, if everybody else is doing it, why?
If everybody else jumped off a bridge, would you?
I mean, if there was water in the bottom. Well, no, I wouldn't because I don't like heights. So no. But if it was something else that everybody else was doing, I mean, shoot, that's how I smoked for like 14 years. Why did I start? Well, everybody else was doing it. So yeah, it doesn't take much to talk me
And
into.
how did that work out for you?
Well, ultimately, okay, I guess I stopped and did so. I don't know,
Yeah, because you realized what everybody else is doing isn't necessarily the greatest thing.
Yeah, well, maybe. I'm one of those peer pressure people. I mean, it's like, hey, Zach, we're all getting frosted tips. Like we're all 12, and I'm like, ooh, me too. And then you look at the pictures, and it's like,
What was I thinking?
yeah, well, I was thinking what everybody else was thinking. This looks awesome. Doesn't.
Does it though?
No, God, no. I'm telling you, some of those pictures, like, and the thing is with the frosted tips, if you remember, if your hair wasn't straight up and it was down, it would look like you had leopard spots because only the tops of your hair, it's not a good look at all. Ever.
I did it.
Oh, you too?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Come on.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess not everybody succumbs to horrible ideas all the time. But I mean, I did. Yeah, the frosted tips one, though, especially if you have my skin tone and hair color, it just doesn't really work for anybody, but there are some people that it works a lot better for. And
For me, it was okay.
yeah.
You know, with the short hair and spiked it a little bit. And
No. For me, sure, for you. I'm just saying for me.
Definitely no.
No, it was. Let's go to the phones. 298-1490, All Pro Plumbing Studio Line. Fat Mike, what's up, brother?
Oh, what's up, man? I can see Stacy with the sun in, spiking his hair, thinking he's the boss. I wanted to quote Suge Knight when he's at the Source Awards. He grabs the mic and he goes, "If you don't want your executive producer all up in the videos dancing, come to death row." Drops the mic. That's what Drew Pearson did at Philadelphia. He killed 70,000 birds with one stone. And I hope, it was good. It was funny. It was good. It was like what the NFL did. They portrayed the villain. You could see Goodell buying into it, working the crowd, and he played the villain. He antagonized the crowd and he antagonized Philly, that's really easy to do. But for Drew Pearson, I hope the Veterans Committee gets him in the Hall of Fame because he's a legendary player that's not in. So I hope that gets him a little notoriety for the kiddies. That was the original number 88. So I want to talk about the Chance Comanche and his prospects of coming back.
Sure.
And I have a question for you.
Shoot.
Out of all the Arizona Wildcats that have left and that should have stayed, I'm not saying Chance is like to that level, but when Nick Johnson left, we could have used them. We could have used them, and we probably would have ended up with a title. Even Brandon Ashley, even Andre Iguodala. Who is the best Wildcat that should have stayed one more year?
What?
Bear down, dog. Thank you, homie.
Mike, thank you, brother. I mean, you talk about a guy that could have helped. Certainly a Grant Jarrett would have helped Arizona in that following year. And but I mean, like, what's your qualification? Because if you ask me the best one to leave, Aaron Gordon. But I mean, should he have come back? No. So we got to walk this line, right? That's what you're asking me is like, those that left early who should have come back. Yeah. See, I don't agree with the Nick Johnson that he should have come back. What was he going to do? Could he have made Arizona better? Yes. Could he have improved his own standing? No. So when guys feel like they've maxed out their capability or their ability at a certain level, they move on, because what are you doing? All you're doing at that point is running risk of injury for no pay. It's not worth it. So if I'm Nick Johnson, I actually don't mind that. That's what I would have done. Could it have helped him? I don't think so. Was he gonna become a first round draft pick? No. So, because we always have this thing where, you leave early and you were in the second round. If you just stayed, you'd have gone to the first round. It happened to Solomon Hill. He stayed all 4 years. But ultimately, look at him. Yeah, he got a big old contract, but what has he done this season? So, I don't know. Jared Bayless? Maybe? Certainly not a guy like Derek Williams. Good Lord. Cash in, cash in, cash in. Hit the button, dude. Take your money, get out. Yeah. Boom. Done. Yeah, that's a really good question. Stacey, what do you think? I don't know. It's hard to define.
All I heard in that conversation was apparently you need to go to death row because your executive producer is in the video too much.
I did like how I think we should start all conversation with Suge Knight quotes. I appreciated that.
I can take a hit, Fat Mike.
I didn't even. Oh wow. I didn't even put that together. And for what it's worth, Stacey, you're not in the video. I don't have it. I think my answer would be Jared Bayless probably. There's not many of them because again, I'm not taking Nick Johnson. I mean, you look at maybe a Kirill. Nah, man, go back to your own country and play hoops, bro. So I'm thinking of other guys, I don't know, and plus, who knows? Because you don't know what they're gonna do when they come back. I mean, remember everybody's like, "Oh man, that Marcus Smart, he's a genius." I know it's worked out for him in the NBA, but what happened to Marcus Smart in his senior year? Remember he shoved that fan? Probably made more money coming out the year before that. Worked out for him ultimately, but there are so many moving parts when asked those kinds of questions. I don't want to backpedal too much, but maybe the answer is Rawley Alkins. Maybe the answer is Kobe Simmons, though I don't think Kobe Simmons felt he had any place to go back.
Maybe a Marcus Williams. I think he probably could have benefited the most for coming back and improved his stock.
That's a good one. What about Bayless? I still like Bayless.
I do like Bayless.
One and done. He's had a long NBA career, relatively speaking, but I mean...
And that's kind of where do you really question him? Because he's been in the NBA for quite a while.
And he still is. I know. That's even with Grant Jarrett, people are like, oh, man, what an idiot. I'm like, yeah, man, I love it when I screw up and make $2 million.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's just the worst.
So
how much more was he going to make? I don't know. $2 million. That's a ton of money.
So that's where I'd go. Would be Marcus Williams.
All right.
But
I'll agree with that. I'm still going to leave Jared Bayless on the board, but I am buying Stacey's Marcus Williams suggestion. Tough question and a good question, Mike. Appreciate it.
Other than that, I mean, I think for the most part, everybody's made the correct decision.
I mean, certainly under Sean Miller. I really do. Even Grant Jarrett. He got somebody to draft him. Dude, Kevin Garnett, in his You the Real MVP speech, tearfully mentioned Grant Jarrett by name. By name. Plus $2 million. When's the last time you made that kind of mistake? Most of my mistakes are drinking too much or stubbing my toe or...
Costing you $2 million.
Yeah. I mean, something like that. Totally. And again, that question remains somewhat subjective because, one, we don't have a time machine. We don't know. We can't go back and say, okay, well, here's what you should have. Like you watch TV or movies and they do that thing where somebody in a white outfit shows up in somebody's dream as if it were a Christmas Carol. And it says, here's what would have happened if you would have stayed with your ex-girlfriend. Or what was that movie? Family Man, right, with Nicolas Cage. I hate myself for even saying that because it is a Nick Cage movie that is not Con Air. But
it's awful.
What's that?
That movie.
Ah,
No, it's awful.
may I say this? Nicolas Cage has made worse movies. Yeah. What's the one where he's the
Yes.
devil on the motorcycle with the chain and the flaming skull? Like, I mean, come on.
Gosh.
Didn't they make a sequel to the National Treasure movie where he's like it's on the back of the Declaration of
See, I'm
Independence?
okay with the National Treasure
What?
movies.
It's like the most unrealistic thing ever.
No, I get it, but it's compared to a lot of his other stuff. My gosh, are we really getting into this right now?
But I mean, we can agree Con Air was good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, good, right?
No, if you don't like Con Air, you can just get the heck out of here.
So, Stacy, it's time for our Corona Prize Pack.
In other words, you need to go to Facebook
Right.
/ESPN Tucson
Well,
or ESPN
don't-
Tucson 1490 1049
Or
FM.
just go to Facebook or YouTube and type in ESPN Tucson, pull up our video feed, the live video feed, and I'm not going to say the word, but I'm going to show it. You should be able to see that right there, and I'm sure it's in the lower third as well. All you have to do
is now.
right now is call 298-1490, 298-1490. Translate this phrase into English. Tell my friend Charles over there at 298-1490 what that is, and you win a Corona Prize Pack.
And by translate, we mean there's two words.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
And one of them is not translatable. It's the same in both languages. So, 298-1490, 298-1490. We'll talk Arizona baseball coming up next in ESPN Tucson 1490, 1049 FM. But I am going to stay here on Facebook Live, and again, Stacy, I can't see the feed. Is this?
That is correct. You might want to move your hands out.
Oh, right there. Yeah, sorry. Here I can.
Free apart. There you go.
Is it better that way?
That is correct. Covers
Okay.
up your face beautifully.
Oh, man, isn't that just one of the bonuses? So, again, the Corona Prize Pack, you translate this phrase right here, 298-1490 on the All Pro Plumbing studio line, 298-1490. Translate. I mean, Stacy, we really could not have made it much easier.
It's one of the words. It's the people who are sponsoring this.
And you can
it's
probably
who
guess-
you're going to get the price back
You
with.
can probably guess second word, too, without even really.
Yeah.
I don't even think Google Translate is required for this.
No, it's
this
not.
contest. And these prize packs are great. Stacy and I don't know if we split one, but they gave us one because they're so kind. And Stacy and I ransacked it. We ravaged it. In fact, Stacy, Dick Vitale, a little bit warmer today because of the Corona Prize Pack. You can see
Keeping
back there
himself warm
wearing
there.
his fancy poncho.
Nice.
And then I love these metal buckets. You go to the beach or going to the pool, put a little ice in here, carry your beer around. It's perfect. Plus, I don't know if I saw one of our suits outside. I probably shouldn't open this, right? I've been keeping them on ice though. But I just saw
yeah, I was gonna say.
I just saw one of the suits outside.
It always happens whenever the suits
know.
come down. Is when you're wanting to pop one of those open.
I'm saying I've been keeping them for a special occasion. Maybe I'll hold on until Cinco de Mayo, which coming up here on Friday. But again, 298-1490, 298-1490. Translate this phrase that you can see right here. In fact, you can see it on the sign. You should be able to see it on the lower third. All you have to do is call my man Charles at 298-1490 on the All Pro Plumbing studio line, 298-1490. Hit him up, ring him up, do whatever you do. I mean, we're trying to make it as easy as we can because we want you to win these awesome prize packs. So, again, and then, Stacey, I'm going to have you leave. We're going to come back here from break in a minute. But I'm going to have you leave that up on the bottom, if you will. 298-1490, 298-1490. Win the Corona Prize Pack by translating this phrase to our call screener, Charles, at 298-1490, 298-1490. Back in a minute. ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM. I'm Zach Clark. Great to start our week with you here on ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM. Hey, don't forget you can go to espntucson.com/Cinco. That's espntucson.com/Cinco. Register to win a beautiful vacation to Hotel Rocky Point in Puerto Peñasco, Mexico.
A.K.A. Rocky Point.
Thanks to the fine folks. Yeah, if you speak a little Spanish, Puerto Peñasco, Rocky Point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't speak any Spanish. That's what. But a beautiful resort. We're giving thanks to the folks at Corona 2 nights, 3 days in Rocky Point.
That is correct.
It's great. ESPNTucson.com/Cinco. That's where you go. That's where you register. And it's about as easy as just going to our website and click.
And it's a free trip. I mean, gosh, it's gorgeous down there. The hotel is gorgeous.
Yeah, there's no awkward like timeshare pressure buy.
No. Go have some fun for a weekend.
Yeah, on us. We insist.
Yeah.
We insist. We were able to give away that Corona prize pack. Excellent. Stacy, that means we're down to the last one.
Do we only have one more of those left?
We do. So before Cinco de Mayo itself, either on or before this Friday, we'll have one more to give away. Yeah, has it been a month? We've been doing that for a month already?
So tune in. Sometime later this week, we'll be giving away our last one.
It's exciting. We'll get back to the NBA playoffs at 5:05. We'll talk Arizona basketball and the NFL draft. And, we often comment on athletes taking things as business trips. Turns out the Golden State Warriors are actually thinking like business people. Wait, you want us to go to Salt Lake City? Nah, we don't want to go there. Nah. The nightlife is no good, man. I don't know. I've never been to Salt Lake. I have no idea if that's true or not.
Wait a second. So they're complaining they have to play.
Nah, when I said they, Matt Barnes.
Okay. But they, meaning Matt Barnes,
well, he said if he had
complaining because he has to go to Salt Lake City to play in an NBA playoff game.
Correct. Well, I mean, what he's saying is if he had the choice, he would have picked Los Angeles because the nightlife is better.
Choice, okay. Yeah. Has nothing to do with the fact that you're playing an opponent in an NBA playoff.
His comment had nothing to do with the basketball at all. He was thinking about the nightlife, and he's thinking, well, I got to go on the road. I like to have a little fun. Apparently, you don't do that. I've never been to Utah. I've heard things, but I'm not going to make blind assumptions without having ever been to a place. But if I had to guess, Los Angeles or Salt Lake for nightlife, I mean, you would pick Los Angeles over almost anybody anyway because it's L.A. I mean, what are you going to do?
I guess my thing is, why aren't you focusing on your job at hand?
Well, in fairness to Matt Barnes, the NBA has like 8 days in between games, so he's got plenty of time to do the nightlife thing and the game thing.
Not in this round. I mean, in this round, it's a day off between games.
Cleveland hasn't played in a month.
That's because they swept their series.
I'm just saying.
And the Jazz had to go 7.
I'm just saying, like, it's. But no, the reason I said it was like a business trip is because if I was like a real businessman going to some conference or going on some sales call and it was like, Steve on the 3rd floor, they're sending him to L.A. and I got to go to Salt Lake. I mean, yeah, you think, well, I got to go have dinner somewhere. I got to do. I mean, but like,
go skiing. Great for skiing.
In May?
I don't know. Denver just got dumped with a foot of snow.
Yeah, but I mean,
assuming Utah did as well, since it's same longitude.
You missed it. This is how Stacey described the relationship between Utah. If you're watching on our live stream, this is Utah and Colorado.
I don't know. They're along the same. What is that? The longitudinal.
Well, I think altitude? The word you're looking is they share a border. I think.
Okay.
Is the phrase you're.
Well, yeah. New Mexico and Colorado share a border too.
But I'm just thinking. Yeah, but that's this. So you did this. There's a rather
big difference there.
Well, we're talking about. You said longitude. We're talking about latitude. I mean, I'm an American, dude. I don't do geography. Like, cut that out. Well, at first I thought you were telling me because this can be interpreted much differently.
What do you mean?
Oh, you don't know about this?
No.
Oh, it's kind of like getting a finger.
Oh. What is that, a Michigan thing?
Actually, I think I learned it on the show Friends.
God.
I remember correctly. That's a good show.
That's a horrible show.
Nonsense.
Oh.
It's a wonderful show.
Wow.
Really?
No, it's oh,
No, I like it.
it explains so much about you.
What, that I like one of the most popular American sitcoms of all time? Like me and millions of other people? Or does it say more about you, Stacey Wampler? That is the question. We'll talk NBA playoffs coming up right here on ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM.